President, you can start.
Okay, perfect. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining Persona Training today, this Sunday. I, JC SGF Prince Pinto, President of JCI Mangalore Lalbagh, call this meeting. In fact, we have today's speaker on animal lover. We love to gather a lot of informative webinars for many of us on different various topics. And as we go, we have a very good topic where we got to spend time with our, not only with the human beings, but with our nature, with the animals, and lot many things. And it's a good start that we all are aware of the things which are with us. And nature is one of the very important part which we of late tend to show less love, but loving it is very need of the hour. We would like to hear more from, introduction of today's speaker by our past president, JC Nitin Shetty. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, President. The greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated. President of today's web series and each and everyone who was part of this, it's my privilege to introduce in short today's speaker, Tausif Ahmed. He's done his MBA from SDM College of Business Management in the year 2011. He's an avid animal lover and an animal rights activist. Tausif has been a full-time animal rescuer for the last 9 years and has actively involved in thousands of rescue across Mangalore, Udupi, and Kundapur. He has till date rescued more than 10,000 plus animals, including more than 4,500 snakes. He has also authored a novel called Straying Around You. The book is an autobiography of a stray dog who himself narrates about his journey right from being born on the street till the end. Along with this, Tausif is a realtor in Mangalore. To mention few of his achievements, he has been represented the voice of voiceless animals at the TEDx Talks in Mangalore recently. He was awarded Aranya Mitra Award by the Karnataka State Government Forest Department. He has won National Award for Best Street Rescue and Care in India for Animal Award in 2018 at Hyderabad. He was honored by JCI Mangalore as an outstanding young person in 2018. He was honored as an unsung hero of Mangalore in 2018 by various group of institutions. He was also honored by Rotary Club for his contribution towards the society. He was also awarded the COVID Warrior Excellence Award by Human Rights Committee, Delhi, for his contribution to saving and feeding animals during COVID-19 lockdown. So it's a privilege to have with us Tausif Ahmed. Over to you, President.
Thank you, JC Nitin Shetty. In fact, we too have a pet at home. It's been but the love you are showed towards the animals has been really wonderful. Happy to hear, Tausif, so much about you showing that love towards the thousands of animals, and especially nearly half of them are snakes, which we all usually tend to see that not it's our pet supposed to be. It's supposed to be our enemy, and we get scared half of the time. Like maybe 5 to 10% of the things may be really vicious or poisonous, but all 90% get that treatment from most of us who tend to see very less. Nice, very nice. Over to today's speaker. Want to hear more from you. Yes, Tausif.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity. First of all, a heartfelt thank you to JCA and all the members who have gathered here, spending your precious time on a Sunday. I know the value of Sunday because we all want a day off, but getting your 1 hour of this special day, I think heartfelt thank you, especially for touching on this particular topic. Because animals and their counterparts are kind of a little neglected beings these days whenever it comes to, because of highlighted development and so many other things. I think we can start off with the topic. I think if the PPT is working, I think we'll right away start off with it. Mr. Jay, if we could please start with the PPT or getting. Yes. So yes, I'd like to start off with basically, as I said, snakes are basically our friends. To be honest, I'll come back to what was spoken earlier about how we have the fear of snakes in our head, mainly because misconceptions that are put in your head, right from your imaginary Bollywood movies to the Nagin serials to even the Hollywood movies like Anaconda and so many other things. Snakes are actually very beautiful, calm, one of the most mystical creations which are actually out there in the nature. To be very honest, if we have read Adam and Eve's story, I think it was the snake which was actually responsible for the entire humanity today, the entire human species to be here today. I don't think so. If the snake never interfered and never advised them to eat the fruit, I don't think so any of us would have been actually here. So I think we all have to thank the snakes once for what we are here today. Moving on, I think Help Us Save Snakes is all something that I go on talking in different places. Mr. Rescuer basically is a small entity that I have started quite a few years back. I'm an independent entity. I'll basically start off with an introduction before how we go ahead. I'll just give a brief introduction. It's not really important, but I think without an introduction, it becomes totally aimless. So Jay, can we please move on to the next slide, please?
If required, we can give the access to you, Tausif. Do we need access?
Yeah. If you could, that would be great.
Yeah, could you just make him admin, Janan, please? Yeah, you are an admin right now. You can share your screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I think I have some issues with this thing. Jay, if you could please continue, I think that would be helpful. I think some issues with the phone. Okay. Yeah. So I'll just go on continuing. I'll just say next if you could just go on. So yeah. So as I was saying, snakes are basically quite interesting. We have quite a few of them around. So basically, before that, I'll just start off with who are we. I am saying we. Why exactly this term emphasized. I'll tell you about that as well. Mr. Rescue, basically, as I said, is an independent entity based in Bangalore. It was basically founded by me. It's a one-man show, to be honest. There are no team members involved. There are no doctors involved. There are no staff involved. It's all done solely by one person. I'm a trained paravet, so even basic medical, a few simple basic things which are needed, I operate on myself. So basically, as I said, there are a lot of animals that are helpless on the streets. We all have pets at home, as we discussed initially. Pets, when they fall sick, when they are not eating, when they get injured, when they get some of the other disease, we take them to a vet. But what basically happens to animals on the streets is a huge question mark, right? Especially coming from a country whereby the resources are so scarce, animals become totally helpless. They themselves cannot go to a hospital. So what I as an individual do here is I step in and I try to fill in that gap between where we have medical facilities available and where an injured animal is. So in between, that gap needs to be filled in. So I basically treat injured animals on the streets, be it cows, dogs, snakes, birds, wildlife. There are a lot of animals that are rescued every single day. Usually on an average, 5 to 10 cases come in, accident cases, skin issue cases. There's so many other things. Snakes coming inside houses and all these things and all. So every single day we have a different case coming in. So basically we rescue injured animals, treat them, and then they are released off. Next slide, please. Yes. So till date, more than 12,000 animals have been affected through means of rescues, treatments, adoptions. We also help puppies and kittens on the streets, which are usually try and help them get homes so that they get adopted to different families. This is a little old PPTs. The current data is about 4,500 of snakes, of which are also the number among the 12,000 animals that were rescued. As I said, the organization is basically a one-man show. We do not have multiple rescues. Sometimes it becomes a challenge, but at the same time, it's more comforting to work as an independent entity. So yes, through means of, I say we most of the time, the reason we is emphasized in most of my slides is basically because the last 10 years, only in the last 1 year, I've started raising funds. That was because it is becoming very difficult after a point of time, because there's so many medicinal expenses incurred, traveling expenses, food, there's so many other things. So a few of my friends said, why don't you start raising funds, Joseph? So what helped by a few kind individuals who help through funds and so many other things. So that is the reason we is highlighted so much. In 2020 alone, we rescued close to about 1,080 animals just in the last 1 year. Next slide, please. Yes, that's me rescuing the rat snake. This is a very common sight that happens in Mangalore. We have people throwing discarded fish nets, or sometimes people use fishing nets on their wells so that the garbage or the leaves and all don't fall into the well. Fishing nets are thrown on the beaches and all, and this is what basically happens. Snakes, birds, and all, they get entangled in nets, and if not attended immediately, they die a very painful, slow death. So that's me basically working in someone's backyard in Bolur. This was recently near the Hindustan factory in Bolur, whereby a snake was caught in a fishing net. So it was removed and it was released. Yeah, next slide, please. Yes, and the organization also conducts awareness now. Just like I am privileged enough to speak in front of all you wonderful people, I get an opportunity to go to different schools and colleges, which actually is a very helpful thing, because kids at that young age, when you go and talk to them, I think there is a change in the mentality. I think we all have been given wrong information, fed wrong data at quite an early age through Bollywood movies and some Kannada movies and some unwanted this and that and all that. Snakes are this, animals are this and that. We're slowly trying to change in that mentality. It's earlier, if you change the earlier, the better it is. So all these workshops are happening every now and then in different parts of Bangalore and outside Bangalore as well, including Bangalore and so many cities. Next slide, please. Yes, so yeah, as Nitin Bhai said some time back, I was recently awarded a national award for the best street care and rescue award in Hyderabad. Out of the thousands of nominations, it was a big accomplishment, to be very honest. And also Aranya Mitra Award, which is also a very big thing for someone working for animals. I think it's a very big thing. This was basically awarded for the wildlife rescues and all, award with the government of Karnataka. Yeah, we'll move on to the actual topic of today. That was a little brief introduction about me. So snakes, yes. What are snakes? Why are snakes here? Why are we scared of snakes? So many other things we'll discuss in the coming next few topics. Can we change the slide, please, Jayabhai? Yeah, yes. Why are snakes scary? Yes, we all have this thing imbibed in us that snakes means death. Snake, how mane ಒಳಗೆ ಬಂದ್ರೆ how ಕಷ್ಟದೆ. Snakes are scary. Snakes are dangerous. Snakes come to kill us. There's so many myths, so many wrong informations in our head. But honestly speaking, snakes are the most helpless animals out there. If you actually see, they do not have hands. They do not have legs. They can't even hear. Okay, so if you suddenly are encountered by a snake, the snake can't just get up and run. It cannot stand up and hold fists and fight. It can't talk, obviously, but at the same time, it can't even hear. So it is actually one of the most helpless animals out there on the planet. But what do we basically do? Because of the wrong information that is fed to us, we are scared. We think they chase us, because stupid movies show that to us, right? The snake's chasing someone. They say revenge, Havina, Dvesha, 12 Varsha. These are all some myths that we have in our head. Snakes don't remember, they can't recall things. These are all unwanted things that are felt in our mind. Do they bite? Yes, they do bite. But when do bites usually occur? Bites occur usually on 3 occasions. Okay, And out of 100 snakes that you encounter, there are three situations that you could get bitten by a snake, which is very rare, right? 3% chances. One is if you are trying to harm a snake, that is, you're trying to kill a snake or something, which most people do. Second thing is when you are trying to handle a snake, that happens only with us. As snake rescuers, we are on the risk of getting bitten. Yes. And third is when you accidentally end up stepping on a snake. Usually when you go out on a walk or something and you without encountering a snake, you end up stepping. So these are only 3%, out of which as general public, your chances of getting bitten by a snake is 1%, to be very honest. But then the kind of images that are created in your head, it becomes a problem. Next slide, please. Yes, there are so many other animals also around us, right? We have cats, we have dogs who also could bite, who also could potentially give us a very deadly bite. Mosquitoes, being so underrated, can kill us with dengue and malaria and so many chikungunyas and so many other diseases. But why are we only scared of snakes? That speaks a lot, right? There's so many other potential animals that could kill us, could give us rabies, could give us something else, the venomous sting, rays. There's so many other things. But why is only this thing related to snakes? Yeah, we'll move on. Next slide, please. Yes, venom. Of course, snakes are unique compared to all these animals because they have venom in them, and that is only because, as I said, they do not have hands to fight back. They do not have legs to run. They cannot talk. They cannot hear. So, Mother Nature, in her own wisdom, she has given them a defense mechanism through venom, right? So, okay, this is the only way you can go and defend yourself, to have this. So that is one reason a lot of creatures are scared of messing with snakes, because they know at the end of the day, the snake might not be able to fight back, but it can definitely kill you, right? And can all snakes kill you? How many snakes are actually venomous? Next slide, please. Yes, this is maybe an year-old slide. Of late, we know we have everyday upgradation happening, so there might be a couple of new additions to these numbers. But out of the 297 species, I'm talking specifically of India. All over the world, we have 3,500 snakes discovered, which are known to us. But in India, I'll specifically talk about Mangalore and India's point of view, so that we can be aware of all these things. We have 297 species. I think 2 more new species have been added to it, out of which 231 species are non-venomous, which are completely harmless. But we still have the fear in our heads, right? This number, I don't think so most people know about it. There are only 66 venomous species, which are again venomous, mildly venomous, and there are so many different things in it. Venomous are the only ones which can kill us. Mildly venomous might just affect us a little bit. But look at the numbers. Look at the numbers. It's crazy. There are hardly maybe about 10 to 15% of snakes which have venom in which, out of which I think only 5% snakes can potentially pack in a venom that could kill us. Like I have mentioned, sea snakes, obviously all sea snakes are venomous ones. So if you go to a beach, if you're taking the stroll on Mangalore beach and you see a snake somewhere wiggling around, please do not try to just push it off or something. Do not try to handle it. It will actually be a deadly bite. Use a stick and just push it into water. Rare or non-lethal, as I said, 41 snakes are non-lethal. So even if these snakes bite you, you do not die, as simple as that. 4 deadly snakes, dangerous snakes, which have been identified, which cause the highest number of bites. So there are only 4 snakes out of 300 odd species that we have. 4 snakes, which is less than a 5% if my mathematical knowledge goes out. So I think that in itself should give us a confidence that we do as much as we are. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Yes, big 4, as I said, these are the big 4 snakes, which are basically known to cause most snake death bites. These are all present in Mangalore as well. Common crate, Katta Kadambale anta heltare. Basically, it's a big black snake with white stripes in it. I'll show you the pictures as well later on. Then we have Russell's viper. Kandodi is what we locally call it as Pili Kandodi. There are so many different names. Russell's viper. Valakamandala anta heltare. So if it bites, your tissues start rotting. You get gangrene and so many things. So that's one of the most dangerous snakes. Spectral cobra, Nagarahau, we all know about Nagarahau. We all know about
Your voice is not audible.
Dangerous snakes that we have around. So yeah, can we move on to the next slide, please? Yes, these are the big four snakes that I mentioned earlier about with the pictures. Common krait, the black snake with the thin stripes. There's also a similar snake who's black and has stripes on it, but is not really venomous. People assume that snake and assume to be a krait and kill it. I'll again show you the difference later. So that is common krait, usually known as Katta Kadambali locally. On your right hand side of the top screen is Nagaraha. We all have seen the snakes. Every movie has the snake. Every picture has the snake. Nagaraha, very relevant, worshipped all across India. On your lower left hand screen, lower, this thing is the saw-scaled viper. Pretty small, but pretty deadly as well. Russell's viper is all these four snakes, ironically, are present in kraits are not so easily found, but all the other three snakes are pretty commonly found in and around Mangalore. So if you have spotted these snakes, please be careful. These pictures I'm putting here specifically for identification purposes today, so that when you see a snake like this around your house, you need to be careful. Okay, about two snakes, both of them are neurotoxic. They have neurotoxic venom in them. They affect the neuro system of the body, and the lower two are hemotoxic snakes. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Yes, this is very, very, very commonly cited non-venomous snakes. We have so many different varieties of non-venomous snakes around us, around our own houses, and all these snakes are basically present in Bangalore. Okay, but we see these snakes as well, and we get scared that, oh, how bandi they, kasta they, this, that, and all those things. So I'll just show you a few pictures with the name of the snake, so that the next time you see a snake like this in your garden, in your balcony, or probably somewhere around your car park, in your somewhere driveway or something, please do not be scared. They're just minding their own business. They're non-venomous snakes. They cannot harm you. Okay, they're just there to search their food and just go off. All right. So yeah, can we move on to the next slide, please? Yes, Indian rock pythons. A lot of this Permari locally is known as.
The
These
previous
are
one is
basically
Kere, right?
That is kere. Yes, I'll come back to the end. I have the explanation. That is the most commonly found snake. I'll explain it in brief, in detail in the end. So yeah, Indian rock pythons, known as Permari, Hebbau, there are a lot of names. Very commonly found in Mangalore because of the Western Ghats water flowing into Mangalore. A lot of these snakes, a lot of these juvenile snakes get washed into this part of the world. We have a lot of these. Very harmless, extremely harmless snakes. But if you mess around, they do bite bad. Non-venomous snakes, of course. Constrictors, they are very powerful. They have extremely strong muscles, but they are constrictors. They basically are around your houses to hunt on some birds, rats, on occasions maybe cats, maybe little puppies or anything. There are a lot of myths, going around that pythons can swallow human babies, which is absolutely wrong. There's been no recorded incident happening. I get so many calls saying, "Sir, ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆದು ಒಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಹಾವು ಉಂಟು, ಬಂದು ಕೊಂಡೋಗಿ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಆಟ ಆಡ್ತಾರೆ" and all. I try and tell them that the snake is at more danger with your kids being around them than this thing. But then on occasions, these snakes grow quite big. They can grow almost close to about 18 to 20 feet if they're getting the right kind of food. That becomes a problem, especially with human habitation around. So we have to step in, we have to rescue them, and we have to take them out. Usually smaller snakes, lesser than 10 feet and all, we'll leave them around, let them be. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Bronzeback tree snake is again very commonly found, very beautiful pattern snake. It's usually brown with the bluish kind of a thing on the top. These are usually found in bushes. These are there in Mangalore again, extremely non-venomous snakes, very harmless. They're usually hunting small rodents and birds and all. So again, because of the color, people think that it's a venomous snake, but it's again pretty harmless. Please. Yes, green vine snake. I'm sure a lot of you guys would have seen this. These are usually found on trees. Green in color, totally green. They are camouflaged so beautifully. The nature has created in such a beautiful way that they're usually found hanging in trees. The moment a bird comes, they grasp onto him. So it has a triangular shape with a structure on the face. These are mildly venomous snakes. They do not affect us, but small birds and rodents do get affected by the venom. Nothing happens to us. There are a lot of myths surrounding these snakes are all as well. They say talege kuktade, medulu tintade, kannike kuktadante. There are so many things which are absolutely wrong. They are just minding their own business, trying to have a a square meal per day or something like that. They're just completely harmless. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Sand boa. We have common sand boas, we have red sand boas, we have Whitaker's sand boas. They are different sand boas. One of the most innocent snakes around. They do not bite you unless you're handling them wrong. They are very mild. They are just lying in a place, just there eating and just lying down. These are constrictors again. They look like pythons, but very delicate, very soft, very calm snakes. They will not bite you unless you're handling them wrong. That's it. So these are also called as irtalehau. There is again locally they call them as irtalehau. There is again a myth that the snake has two heads or something. It's basically because the blunt tail in the end. Usually most of the snakes have a sharp tail. These snakes have a blunt tail. So it actually is a camouflage. But then again, people think, oh, they have two snakes and all. And this is a favorite in black market. People sell these snakes depending on per kilo usually and all. Each snake is usually sold about 4 or 5 kilos. People have a wrong notion in their head that if you keep the snake in your house, the wealth increases and all those things. A lot of black marketing. If you're caught handling one of these snakes or any snakes for that matter from the department, you will be inside for 5 years, which is again a non-bailable offense. So if anyone sees things like this around, please tell them what wrong they are doing. No snake can bring in wealth in your life, right? They are just trying to get some food there. So yeah, can we move on to the next slide, please? Checkered keelback volle, locally known as volle, water snakes. You'll find them in ponds, around your wells, around your fish tanks, around your drains and everything. Non-venomous snakes, but aggressive. If you try to go around, they'll repeatedly bite you. Beautiful pattern, but again non-venomous, so nothing to be worried about. Let them be, not an issue. Next slide, please. Wolf snake. Yes, this is what I was talking about. Is most oftenly confused with kraits in Mangalore. I've seen these are called as kattigehau, wolf snake. Basically, they eat mostly lizards. So these snakes are mostly found in the attic or on your tiled house roofs, on your windows and everything and all. They stay there itself because they only eat lizards. So most of the time they spend their life there itself. Unfortunately, because of the color and the pattern, see if you observe the kraits picture that I showed you before and this one, see the bands on the body. These have thicker bands, while krait has a thinner band. So every time there's a wolf snake in some, it's a krait and krait can kill them. These are wolf snakes. These are extremely harmless. And these don't grow too big. They hardly grow to about feet length or something like that, even adults. So again, very harmless snakes. So next time you find something on your roof or something like that, please be sure, please don't get worried. It's a wolf snake. Just call a rescuer who can come and help you out. All right. Yeah, next slide, please. Rat snakes, yes, initially as someone identified, it was a perfect identification. Rat snake, Kerehau ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಹೇಳ್ತೇವೆ locally. Dhaman it is also called as in Hindi. Extremely harmless snake and very commonly found in and around houses. If you have a snake inside your house by mistake, 9 out of 10 times the chances are it's a rat snake, because rat snakes are one of the most helpful snakes we have around, because each snake every single day eats one rat, I'm sorry. All right, so 365 days in a year, a snake eats 365 rats from your house. Imagine that in and around a house, the rodent population would go to a crazy numbers if these snakes are not there. And these are abundantly found. The nature has somehow tried to balance, because the rats multiply like crazy, right? Rats, every time they have a litter, they have 15, 20 babies. So snakes need to be there to somehow balance it out. So rat snakes are like a gift from God to the nature, so that the rat population is under control. Moving on to the next. Again, there's a myth about this also. Sontake hodidre paralyze ಆಗ್ತದೆ from the low waist and everything and all. Nothing of that. I have handled thousands of rat snakes. Not once have I been hit or been paralyzed. They are just struggling. They are very scared. So when they flip around, probably the tail hits you and it hurts a little, but there's no chances of paralysis or anything like that. Yeah, let's move on to the next slide, please. Yes, important part. This needs to be, please focus on this. This is important because this could be 4 slides for you. If you have these snakes around your house, please be extremely careful when you're moving around and everything and all. Chances of finding one of these around your house is very less, but then always better to be careful. Venomous snakes. Next slide, please. Yes, commonly cited venomous snakes in and around India and in and around Mangalore specifically, or the same 4 snakes as I mentioned. Big 4, all big 4 we have in Mangalore. Kadambale, Russell's viper, spectacled cobra, saw-scaled viper. I'll explain in depth with the pictures. Next slide, please, Jay. Yes, common crate, as I explained it to you before, pretty silent these snakes are. Most of the snakes are nocturnal, but these snakes are seen only at night. They'll come out, black color body with white color thin bands on them. Okay, the wool snake that I showed you before will have thicker bands. Okay, so that is the basic difference. Even the head has a difference. These ones have a thinner head. Wool snake has mostly a triangular shape kind of a head. Okay. Yeah, moving on to crate. Crate has neurotoxic venom. These have the smallest fangs around. So when you get bitten by one of these snakes, unfortunately, you don't even realize, because you feel like maybe it was a mosquito bite or probably like a rat, probably, or an ant bite or something. So a lot of deaths are recorded in the rural areas where people sleep on the floor. So they're just sleeping, and then the snake comes and somehow it is trying to sleep around them, trying to find warmth. They get bitten. Unfortunately, people die in their sleep itself. So if you have found snakes around your house which are crates, please make sure you do not sleep on the ground as much as possible. Avoid sleeping on the ground. That is very, very, very important. Okay. Yeah, we'll move on to the next slide. Yes, Russell's viper, Kandodi, Pili Kandodi, Mandala the how, Naga, there are a lot of things, Mandala, so many things, there's so many different names. This snake is actually found in Mangalore in different places. We have found a lot of these. Every snake handler is extremely scared to handle one of these snakes because these have hemotoxic venom. Hemotoxic venom, basically when you get bitten, it clots your blood, starts making you bleed from all your natural openings. Gangrene sets in. So even after 5-6 months of getting bitten and healing, there are chances the place where you were bitten might start rotting. So if you have one of these snakes, never mess around, never ever, never even try to hold a stick and push it around. Call someone who knows what to do with these things, because these could be extremely dangerous. Recently, someone whom I know from Maharashtra who has been handling snakes for 22 years got bitten by one of these snakes and lost 2 of his fingers. So extremely dangerous snakes. But again, they are very dull and very silent. Until unless you go and poke finger or you try to mess around with them, they will not bite. There are a lot of myths around chakkuli smell bartadante. How is what is that? Kandodi chakkuli smell bartade. There is no chakkuli, no kodabade, no nippattu, nothing. They are just minding their business. They hiss very loudly. So that's a warning. None of the snakes would want to bite you guys. Any snake, if it is around you, if you're getting too close to its comfort, you'll especially if it's a cobra and one of these Russell's viper, you will hear a loud hiss as if the cooker's whistle is going off. That is like the final warning. After that, if you still continue to mess around, they will bite. Another unique factor about this and sand boas is these give birth to babies. They don't lay eggs. These give birth to live babies. So that can we move on to the next slide, please? Yes, spectacle cobra, Nagara how, very common. Dakshina Kannada is very famous for the Nagara. Then we have a lot of snake temples around, which is a beautiful thing. Luckily, these snakes are not harmed across this part of the world. People are scared because of Nagabanas are there and Nagadosha Bartade and so many other things. I think someone at one point of time devised a plan so that you don't kill snakes, so that snakes survive in a wild. But unfortunately, it is remained only to cobras. Other snakes are killed, but cobras are revered, which is a nice thing. But again, these snakes are also misused, especially during when you have festivals and all. So people actually try and catch snakes and they break their teeth and they bring them. You might have seen people doing all this snake shows and everything, and people pour milk on them, all those things and all, which is again not needed, to be honest. So yeah, spectacle cobras again have neurotoxic venoms. They affect your cardiovascular system of your this thing when you get bitten. So yeah, you need to be careful if you have one of these. These are again pretty much around our houses. Every 10-20 snakes that you find, one snake is a cobra around. So if you have one of these, please be careful. Next slide, please. Yeah, saw scale vipers are pretty small. These are again one of the deadliest vipers that we have. These are also again found around Mangalore. It is named saw scale because they have tiny scales on their body which look like saw. Which look like small scales, and every time they see someone coming close to them, they rub those scales to each this thing and make a unique sound. Okay, so again, vipers are dangerous. Hemotoxic venom, size is very small, so please do not put your hands into dark places, or even if you're removing your shoes or something that was kept outside when you're removing, please be careful. Please handle things carefully, because during times at night when it is cold, they come and try and hide in warm places. Yeah, we'll move on to the next slide, please. Yeah, this I'll not go. I'll rush general symptoms of snake bite. God forbid you have a snake bite. What would you do? Immediately rush to a hospital. Please do not do anything. Typical symptoms of a venomous, non-venomous bite, well, nothing will happen. If you're bitten by a non-venomous snake, max that can happen is you'll have swelling and pain. But venomous snake will have dizziness, will have vomiting, will have pain and burning in the side of the bite. You might have your natural openings bleeding. So these are typical sites. You'll have usually about 3 to 4 hours time within which treatment can be started. After that, just if you get bitten by a snake, immediately first thing, we all have a mobile. Take out your mobile, take a picture of the snake as much as possible. Please do not hunt the snake. Please do not try and kill the snake. Take a picture and immediately rush to the hospital. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Yes, first aid for snake bites. As I said, if you know what is the right first aid, please do it. If not, the moment you're bitten by a snake, and if you know if it's a cobra or a viper, if you know for sure, please do not panic. The moment you start panicking, the blood flow in your body increases 10 times faster. If you see when you're running, when you're working out and all, the heart starts pumping in blood as fast as possible, right? So if you're bitten, for example, if you're bitten on the hand here, and the more your body starts pumping blood, this venom will start spreading all over your body. Okay, and the moment that venom reaches your vital parts like kidneys and liver, that is the point of time it becomes very difficult. So please do not try and do any first aid snakes. Just lie down, call an ambulance, call someone. Do not drive, do not ride, do not run around, do not walk around. Just tell someone to immediately take you to the hospital. Okay, next slide, please. Yeah, do's and don'ts dealing with snake bites. As I said, there was a time whereby if you're bitten on the leg or if you're bitten on the hand, if you're bitten, example here, people would tie a rope here tight so that the venom doesn't spread to the body and all. Those were myths which were followed at one point of time. If you try and follow that, there are chances that the venom might not spread to the rest of the body, but the venom keeps circulating here in this portion, and this portion will die within half an hour, right? So for sure you're going to lose your limb. So please do not try all those things and all. As I said, go to the hospital as soon as possible. Try avoiding panicking. Do not go to any of these babas and local Natima, Madhu Kottaranti, all those things. Do not do Bollywood things and all of cutting the wound and sucking the blood out of it, because the person who is doing might also get affected. We'll move on to the next slide. Yeah, when you sight a snake, what do you do basically? Remember, snakes are equally scared of humans and are an important part of the ecosystem. If you have a snake in your garden, in your driveway, around your building and all, let them be. Please do not call people, because that is not the right thing to do. For every snake that is taken away, you might have only more problems happening later. So let it be. If the snake is there, it will go off by itself. Until and unless the snake is inside your house or very close to a place whereby you have pets or maybe kids or something like that, children's play area or something like that, I think that's when you need to reach out to a rescuer. Next slide, please. Yeah, keeping snakes at a distance. How do you do this? This is the most important vital part. Rather than snakes coming in, how do you actually keep them away at all? Snakes basically come inside your houses or near houses only in search of food. Okay, so every time we have garbage accumulated around our houses, or some bricks or some wood and everything and all that. Second thing is, every time we throw around food, waste food and everything and all, rats come to eat that. Okay, and rats start staying there. They start reproducing. They build a house there, and behind your rats come snakes. So that is how the entire system is. So keep your house surroundings clean. Keep your shrubs trimmed, everything, and all those things and all. There will be no option for the snake to come in at all. Okay, next slide, please. Yes. Before moving on here, one slide I missed out, I think, was what are the importance of snakes? As I said, importance of snakes at the end of the day is we have rodents, like I mentioned, in between the rats and so many other things, which multiply like crazy every single day. Every single time you see rats having babies, 15, 20, 30 and all. And these rats go and hide in places, in burrows whereby nothing can reach. Okay, so pest control might not work. Things that can actually get into that burrow and pull out a rat and eat them. And I said, snakes like rat snakes, keep a balance. Every single day, if one rat is being eaten up, imagine. Okay, antivenom. For antivenom to be made, antivenom is again made out of snake's venom itself. Okay, so if at all we need antivenom tomorrow when we are bitten by a snake, again the antivenom has to come out from a venom of the snake itself. So unless there are no snakes around, if you go on killing, if you go on just relocating snakes to some different places, tomorrow when we actually need desperately, we might not find enough snakes for this thing. Snakes are again a very vital part of food cycle. Like I said, they are the central part, be it your birds, be it your rodents, be it your frogs, be it your smaller reptiles, who in case if they go on increasing becomes a huge problem. So snakes, keep a watch on that, they maintain a balance. Food grains and saving, we have so much of wastage happening all over because of rats again. So snakes again play a vital role in controlling the wastage. Did you know that antivenom? Yes, antivenom snake of the snake is actually also used. Venom is actually used into different medicines which are used for cardiac arrest, for strokes, paralysis. People get it is used for that. And there's so many other things that basically are used on a day-to-day basis. So without a snake around, a snake venom, and you cannot have antivenom, you cannot have so many medicines. I think of late there's been therapy which is slowly started to work, whereby even for cancer as well, snake venom, some vipers venom is being used, which is actually been very effective. I had a question just now about how snakes burning. Yes, certain snakes have people have myths that especially when vipers are killed, or if you find a viper dead or something like that, it is ideally to burn it off. It off or bury it, whichever works fine. People bury it off because there's a myth that if the snake is the dead body is around, there might be animals who might come and try it, your cats or dogs, or some kids might try to play. There are chances the fangs of the snake might still have what do you call, maybe a little bit of venom in it. So there are chances it could go bad. So yeah, that is a good thing. You need to see, even if you find a snake around, or burn it off, whichever suits well. It's basically like giving them a nice farewell, nice send off, like just how we all deserve a respectful send off. That's all. So I think that's all about that I had to say. Any questions, please feel free to shoot. I think I'd be more than happy to answer.
In fact, very wonderful, Tausif. Really wonderful to know about so many about snakes. In fact, it's been a daily routine. I live almost in Padil. Right behind my house, we have a big forest type, and
yes,
snakes have been regular routine here. Very much happy to know the difference between the good and the non-venomous snakes. But it's shit.
Yes.
I mean, it's still scary to see snakes around, especially if you find it in quite. Anybody having a question? We had one question. Somebody putting in a chat saying that.
Yes.
What if we burn it? How is it? Does it affect?
Yes.
Required?
Yes. No, burning or burying them equally is okay. Sometimes people do believe, if it's a cobra or something, they believe in the Hindu way of cremating them. So I think anything works fine as long as you're giving them a nice send off. I think that's all that matters. You burn them, you bury them. Just make sure you do it the right way. I think Calvin had a question about how to identify snakes. Identification takes a lot of time. Identification becomes a challenge sometimes, but certain snakes are easily identifiable, especially cobras. Their hood is raised or you have a spectacle mark on their head. Rat snakes, very commonly found, they have a yellow color belly and they are very long. They grow up to 10 feet sometimes. So it's pretty easy to identify brown or black snakes. Extremely scared snakes, so you can easily identify. Someone had a question if we can have snakes as pets. No, we cannot have snakes as pets. The local snakes cannot be used as pets because wildlife laws are pretty strict. As I said, it's a non-bailable offense of 5 years. Yes, now exotic snakes are being gotten into India and people have started using them as pets. But then again, at what risk? Because snakes are pretty, as I said, they're pretty moody. Having them as a pet is something like even someone who is very trained as well might not be able to handle them very easily. So having them as a pet could be a good option, but I don't know at what cost. So I'd ideally say to have a cat or a dog probably. Snakes might not be very good of an option to have as a pet. How to attract rat snakes to a compound? Have rats. No, I think honestly speaking, we have a lot of rats around our houses already. Rat snakes, we have a lot of rat snakes around itself. So most of the houses around, even in a 5-10 cents land, we have at least about 10, 15, 20 kind of different snakes, which out of which half of
Could you please unmute Tausif again? You've been muted. Tausif, could you please unmute?
Am I audible?
Yeah, now you're audible.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, non-venomous snakes, if they bite, ideally just clean it with clean water. Use some antiseptic. We all have sanitizers with us these days. Clean it properly. It burns a little. Clean it off. Then take a TT injection. Maybe 3 or 5 days of antibiotics should be enough. More than enough. Just a shot of TT should be enough sometimes. But just in case, because they have a lot of things in their teeth and everything, just clean it off. I think it'll be fine. Cobras do not climb trees. A few snakes do climb, your green vine snake and everything and all, but cobras do not climb trees. So yeah, nothing to be worried. Most of the times that you'll find the snakes inside your houses, they come through doors, through windows. At times they come through your toilet commodes. I had an incident a few months back in Landings whereby there's an old lady called me at 3 o'clock in the night. She was crying. She found a snake in the toilet. She was staying alone, so I went there and she went to pee. She removed the lid of the commode and there was a cobra sitting right inside the commode. So they do come from your drainage pipes as well. If you're living in independent houses, they do come. But all this thing happens only if you have all this happens only if you have rats around. Yes, anthills. Anthills are something. No, snakes. There are chances snakes might be living in anthills because anthills are basically built by ants initially. Once they abandon them, then the snakes make them as their house. And then a lot of people pour milk in them during Nagapanchami and all, which is again wrong because snakes do not drink milk. Second thing is the moment you pour milk inside a Nagabana, what happens is the mud is very thin. Okay, so goes inside the nostrils of the snakes and the snakes die inside sometimes. So Nagabanas are specifically very sacred places to leave them by themselves. Unfortunately, now these days, Nagabana people are again converting them into cement places and so many other things and all. I think the way they are as it is, they'll be happy by themselves. And there, I think it's a cozy place for them to relax. It's a calm place. So I think Nagabanas and all these anthills should be let by themselves so that we can safeguard this. Definitely. I would love that. I would love to be a part of the group. If anything, anytime, you can always help. Turmeric, yes, turmeric does help at times. It's a natural antiseptic. It does help if you are bitten by a snake, only if it's a non-venomous snake. If it's a venomous snake, ideally, within the next 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, as early as possible, please reach out to a hospital which has antivenom. Antivenom these days is quite easy. Before, we used to have different antivenom for different snakes. Cobra used to be different, viper used to be different. Now we have a polyvalent antivenom. So for any snake bite you go, you have a common antivenom. So if you show signs of increased blood pressure, increased heartbeats, and you're vomiting and dizziness, they'll take blood samples and immediately start administering antivenom through IV fluids. They'll put IV fluids, and it depends, usually 30, 40, 50 vials of this thing. It's a little expensive, but life-saving. Life can still be saved. So if a snake bites you, don't assume that you're going to die. That's the first myth that you need to take out of your mind, that a snake bite can kill. A snake bite will not kill unless you end up doing something wrong. You go to hospital, your life is saved. There are very few rare cases whereby someone can get bitten, which is if a king cobra bites you, because king cobras are only found in Western Ghats, and there are not many recorded bites of this thing because they are found mostly in this thing. King cobras in Mangalore are found only in Pilikula. They are the longest venomous snakes that we find. These have a huge venom sac. So every time they bite you, about 10 times of what a normal snake bites, they'll deliver into your butt. But there are hardly, maybe all so many years, there are hardly about 5 to 6 incidents of people getting bitten. And all these people who are bitten were snake handlers. So nothing to be worried. Any snake, it might be your kandodis, or vipers, cobras, crate, any snake that bites you, please go to a hospital. You will be absolutely nothing to be worried about. Yes, it is wrong. Unfortunately, it is wrong. A lot of people do that. I get a lot of calls. I do not attend these calls. People see a snake in the garden. People see a snake in their drains or something. They'll like say, "Hidu konda ginale mane olage bartade," and everything and all. See, snakes are just like dogs. Okay, they are territorial. Every snake has its own territory of about 1-2 kilometers. So every time you catch a snake, what I ideally do is I release it in the similar surroundings, maybe in an empty plot or a big drain or something. They go out by themselves. If you release a snake in some other part of the world, if you take it, there are a lot of snake, I'll not say rescuers, I'll call them catches, because these people do mainly catch snakes. They'll take it and release it far off somewhere in some Neer Marga or Kulshekar, some jungles. These snakes unfortunately do not survive because that's not their territory. There are already other snakes who have that as their territory, and there are fights, and the snake gets disoriented and they die. So there's no point. Relocation is the last option that you should do unless you find a huge snake which is 15-20 feet, and people might end up killing it. I think it's ideally better to leave the snake by itself wherever it is. If it is very close to your house, get a rescuer, get it caught. They will release it within somewhere 1-2 kilometers vicinity, whereby some empty plots are there or some small mini jungles are there. They will survive. But relocating a snake and catching them randomly and taking them away is actually a criminal law as well, because you're basically killing them. Although you are not hitting and beating them, catching them and leaving them somewhere, it's basically like a child comes playing to your house by mistake. You take that child and leave it off far off in some jungle and come, or in some other house and come. So ideally, I think the right thing to do is let the snakes be by themselves if they're found in gardens or somewhere. If they come inside your houses, very close to your cars, close to your kids, I think that's when you need to step in and take that step. Bamboos, yes, bamboos, we find a lot of different snakes, but there's something called bamboo pit viper, which is not found in Mangalore. It is usually found in Assam and different parts of Western Ghats and other Western Ghats and everything. Bamboo pit viper is green in color, again, very dangerous snake. Most of the Mangalore around bamboos are mostly your rat snakes. Sometimes you'll find the green vine snake and everything at all. Mangalore, it's mostly your rat snakes and other snakes. Bamboos, again, because usually around it is pretty calm, because bamboos absorb a lot of water. So the place is, snakes are basically cold-blooded animals, so they need cold places. So they usually are.
Nice. Very, very interesting and very nice. A lot of questions from a lot of audiences.
Yes.
Even after listening, I'm still, worried about snakes for sure. But the amount of worry might be have reduced to a lot. Maybe, as you told, 70% are not venomous and 50% are dry.
Yes.
And so most probably 10 or 20% if the snake bites also, it might be venomous, and the rest of the things are really dear. Nothing to worry. So in fact, we have to show love towards all the other animals too. But at least about snakes, there are very few people who are really taking some serious action and working against this. It's really good to see, Tausif.
Thank
Anybody
you so much.
having any question?
I think there was one question about how to drive away a snake. If a rat snake comes inside your house, or whichever snake comes inside your house, ideally, if it's somewhere very close to nearby to a door or something, only then you can try and probably use a stick and slowly tap on the floor. Snakes cannot hear, so maybe a little touch on the tail or maybe a little tap on the ground might help them go out. But if it's inside your bedroom or if it's in your kitchen and all, ideally don't know which way the door is. They might further go and hide inside some places whereby they call someone who handles snake. There are a lot of people these days. At least we have about I think 7 to 8 people in Mangalore who are regularly handling snakes now of late. So always try and call people who rescue snakes and not who catch snakes. There's a difference. Snake rescuers and snake catchers. We call ourselves rescuers because we do it solely from the point of view of the snake. There are snake catchers who do it from the point of money. Every time they come, they'll charge about 2,500 rupees per snake, and that becomes a business after that for them. So call rescuers as much as possible. There are few people who are into rescues. Few people do charge basically about 200, 300 rupees, which is basically the transport and everything and all, because their time also is important. But do not call the snake catchers who have made it a full-time business of charging 2,500 rupees just for the heck of it, because I know it's not affordable for anyone just like that. So always, I think as important as possible, immediately if you do not find any contacts, call Pelicula or call the forest department. You will find these two numbers on Google very easily. I am always there. If I'm not there, you can always get in touch with me.
Awesome. Really nice, Tausif. We have our founder,
Thank you.
President Peter Anthony Pinto with us. Sir, request you to help us with the vote of thanks for today's speaker.
Yeah, before proceeding to vote of thanks, let me congratulate Tosi for choosing this work of rescuer. I am very sure you will be blessed because of you are helping the ecosystem by
Thank you.
leaving the reptiles as well as the creatures of God uh, who are helping the human beings as well as the nature. And I'm very much grateful to you for obliging our invitation and voluntarily accepted here to share your knowledge. I'm very sure about 35 to 40 people today who attended. They will spread this news to others, and this link is on YouTube, which people will observe and just get the information. I'm very sure you reached hundreds of people today, and you
Thank you so
have
much.
to be a part of our persona group where you'll be definitely helping our people when they get panic. And
Definitely.
the bottom of my heart, on behalf of Preston Knowledge Foundation, who are into adult education, and A1 Logic, who are into helping events as well as the software development, and JCA Mangalore Lalbagh, who is helping to individuals, youth to become active citizens. Three partners, we have come together to promote this event, and today is the 35th week that we are conducting this, and
Wonderful.
I should congratulate the president of JCI Mangalore Lalbagh for initiating this session, and continually he has done it 35th week. This is 35 weeks he has conducted this, and today is the last session. He is presiding as a president, but I'm very sure he'll be a part. And next week we will get the new president, and I'm very sure he has done it very successfully. Thank you, President JCI Prince, for initiating this session. And all the participants, you can give number 35 in the chat box so that it will reach to him. And that is the congratulations what we can give to our president. And the coordinator, Nitin Shetty, I think from the past 7-8 sessions, he is coordinating the session and talking to the resource person and getting their information, introducing them, and taking a lot of effort. And because of Nitin, today our participant size is increased to 30 plus every week. Congratulations, Nitin. And all the past presidents, Dinath, Narsim Bhatt, Saujanya, and all of our team, especially A1 Praveen Udupa, and next president Prashant is also there, and all my dear participants who are making 1 hour every day, every week, Sunday, and you are using it for fruitfully for to get the knowledge and spread the knowledge. Thank you one and all, and wish you all the best. Wish you all a happy New Year too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, founder, President, JCI Senator Peter Anthony Pinto. In fact, it's been a wonderful journey with JCI, and every week we are able to reach through persona a lot of training. A major mission of JCI to train and to empower the youth is a motivation which has been well defined and it's being taken to next level. Happy to be associated with JCI, and thank you very much for joining this persona training. Maybe we may not be meeting next week, same time, since we'll be having a next president, Prashant Shetty, with us. Thank you very much for joining all the 35 sessions, all the visitors, and today's rescue for a wonderful, knowledgeable inputs that we can show towards our pets, especially snakes, towards the nature were abundant and which cannot be our pets also. At least, if not uh, treat them as a pet, at least we can show some love towards them and at least not kill them and not disturb. It's something like he say that we may not be able to do something good, but let's not do something bad. Uh,
True. Very
so very nice, very well thought, and thank you everybody for joining this. Have a happy new year to all the folks. See you next Sunday with the next host and next speaker. Thank you very much. I'm signing off. JC Prince Pinto, President of JCI Mangalore Lalbagh of 2020, still in 2021.